There we go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, we're glad you joined us. I'm Dan Tan with Keller Williams Realty Elite, Eden Prairie. I've got with me.
Forrest Roberts with Fairway Independent Mortgage.
This is week 4. In the last 3 weeks, we talked about credit, why it's important. We talked about how you interpret your credit on the second week. And last week, we talked about how to, some tips and tricks on how to improve your strategy and your strategies to improve your credit. That sounds funny. Anyways, this is week 4. We're going to bring that all together. And Forrest is going to share with us, from a lender's perspective, the magic sauce that goes on behind the curtains. Credit is obviously going to be part of this conversation, but one of the first terms you're going to encounter is a term known as debt to income ratio, otherwise DTI. So Forrest, why don't you help us, unpack, first of all, what DTI means from the lender's perspective?
Yes. So debt to income ratio, that is how we are determining how much of a home that individual or that couple, that scenario can afford. And what we do to calculate the debt to income ratio is, one, we take your gross monthly qualifying debt, and that's the start one. Gross monthly qualifying income, that's the start one. So you have before taxes, what we can use as qualifying income, we take that into a monthly account. Then when we pull your credit report, we have anything that you have as a liability that has a monthly dollar amount associated with it. We add those up, and that's going to be your front end DTI, your front end debt to income ratio. So that percentage against the income is the front end. Then we have the back end, which is really what we're using to qualify you, is the back end, and that's adding the credit report, all the credit report liabilities, plus the projected monthly house payment. And with that, we have the total number, because you have to pay the monthly payment for the house. So you have to still have all these other bills, your cars, your credit cards, your student loans, any other loans you have, plus the new mortgage. We have to make sure that all that payment, those are your debt. That's like your baseline, is going to be below, for a conventional loan, they like it below 45% of your monthly income. Or FHA can go a little higher, so 55% of your monthly income. Obviously, we want it lower. If we're in like 30s, 36, that's prime, because then you have plenty of room to breathe, to live, to take vacations, do all the things. But we can, in a matter of speaking, work as long as we're within those ratios.
Gotcha. Now, with DTI again, is there a way you can adjust your allowance or improve your DTI over time by potentially buying down your debt, for example?
Yes. So if you have, let's say, a car loan, and you can finish that car loan, or you can get that car loan within 10 months to being paid off completely, we can exclude that monthly payment, exclude that debt from our calculations.
Got it. Okay.
And that can work with other loans as well, installment loans. Credit cards, it does not work, because you can just go rack up more money on that credit card 2 days later, and we'd have to figure that out.
Yep.
But any installment or set-in loan can work like that.
Gotcha. Okay, fantastic. With lenders, there are other considerations as the underwriting process proceeds forward that they look at beyond DTI, but the DTI is certainly one of that first gates that you have to get through before other factors come into consideration. Things like bankruptcy, for example, past bankruptcies or missed payments or collections even. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so let's start bankruptcies, foreclosures, short sales, anything like that. If you've had one of those, there is going to be some kind of a waiting period depending on the loan. It does vary whether you're doing FHA, VA, conventional. So for an example, let's just say a Chapter 7 bankruptcy going FHA, we'd have to wait 2 years from the discharge date before we could get you approved for a mortgage. You could go non-traditional financing in that time. The rates are probably going to be 2% higher than where we are at as a traditional mortgage. And then for conventional loans, depends on it. One of them, the Freddie Mac, doesn't have a waiting period, but we have to show that you've established positive credit afterwards. The other one, Fannie Mae, there is a 4-year waiting period for Chapter 7. And if you go Chapter 13, it's going to be different. Short sales are going to be less. Foreclosures are going to be less. But there is a little waiting period, so definitely talk to your lender if you're in a situation like that. And honestly, if you have one, still talk to them, let them know, and then you can build a plan even if you're in that time frame where you can't do it, so that when that time frame's done, okay, I can go out shopping with Dan, I can go find a home right away and be ready to go. So with that, transitioning to collections. So a charge-off or a collection, they're pretty much similar. A charge-off is when the original lender still owns the debt, but it's getting sent to a collection agency, and a collection is when it's already been sent to the collection agency. Depending on the loan program as well, there are a certain dollar amount of what you have in collections that would technically automatically disqualify you from a mortgage. But if you pay that dollar amount down, or we don't have all that, or if you're under that dollar amount, then we just hit it as a 5% as a monthly payment, 5% of the full balance. So it doesn't automatically, if you have a collection, knock you out. If you have a lot of collections, that's showing a history of not making the payment. That's where we're going to like the missed payments.
Sure.
And that's going to be a bad sign. A lot of collections, or a high dollar amount in collections, a lot of missed payments. Because really, we're lending out hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we have to make sure that they get the money back. It's not my money, but I'd be hunting on your door too if it was my money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that you're going to be a responsible borrower and that you can repay that back. So missed payments are a big deal. If you have a lot of missed payments or a lot of collections, if you could take 1 year and just have perfect credit for that year, it will look dramatically better to that lender after that year, where you could probably get qualified as long as you fit all the other ratios.
Sure. Yeah, that makes good sense. So with that, I had something on the tip of my tongue which I'm presently forgetting.
Well, I got one.
Okay.
So with debt, there's good debt and there's bad debt. And a lot of people kind of blur those lines, I feel like. So like bad debt is... It's not necessarily like that you have credit cards, that you have auto loans or personal loans or whatever, but it's a bad debt if you are extending your limit too far, where you're not able to live comfortably, have these paid off, and build a savings. And I think a lot of people get stuck where they're over leveraging what they can do in a debt side. But then the same point, if you flip it around, there can be very good debt where you could leverage the debt that you can get by having a good credit score, by doing everything right here. And I think like you, because you have multiple homes that you rent out. So if you can leverage that debt to build that equity, to get monthly income, I think that's a very smart way to use debt to leverage and basically change not only your life, but your family's life. Do you want to talk about like your homes and what you like your experience with that at all?
Yeah, I will. I appreciate the segue. Thanks for saving me a second ago. I will have another series on that in regards to money, leveraging that money, and building that wealth, and moving yourself from a position of potentially living paycheck to paycheck, and moving your family from a position of debt to a position of wealth building. My personal motivation is in regards to financial independence, and I watch for that series to drop in a couple of weeks. In the meantime,
didn't mean to do any spoilers, but love that you're having a whole series on it. That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's good.
I can't wait for it.
That's good stuff. I need to certainly process that. But Forrest dropped a lot of great information on the table this week. There will be a test for week 5, so show up for that test. No, I'm kidding. But I'm Dan with Keller Williams. Forrest with Fairway Independent Mortgage. Our information is below. We're not expecting you to, certainly know all that we've shared with you today.
That's what we're here
for. That's what we are here for. So if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to either me or him. We partner very closely, but we do definitely focus on different areas of this business. And that's what we got for you this week. So next week is the final part of this series. We hope you join us. We are going to crack open a couple of ideas. I think Forrest and I are both working to locate a credit repair specialist, and we're hoping to have that individual on the call with us next week. And there'll be a lot of good stuff there too.
And in between now and then, if you have any questions that you guys want us to answer, throw it in the message, throw in a comment, reach out to us, send us a question, and we will make sure to address it and give you a little shout out while we were addressing it at the end on week 5.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Forrest, you want to bring us, to close here today?
Hey guys, it's been a pleasure. Like he said, it's week 4. We got one more week to go, and if you haven't already, subscribe, click that link. Also, stay tuned for his future series coming up because I know he's got a lot in the works. I'm not going to spill all the beans like I kind of did earlier, but there's a lot in the works that should be good information for you. You guys have a wonderful day. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.